Welcome to the CalMedForce Graduate Medical Education online application. The length of this video is just over 13 minutes, and its purpose is to help you in completing your application. We strongly encourage you to view it before you start the application. We recommend that you allow yourself approximately 1 hour to complete the application. If you need to leave without completing the application, you can log out at the top and log back in at a later time to continue filling out the application any time before the submission due date. Before logging out, make sure that you select Save and Continue to save the progress you've made on a given step. When you log back in, you'll be brought to the step following the last step you completed. You have until October 28th, 2019 to submit your application. Let's get started. If you already have an account, simply type in your login information on the right and click the green Login and Start button to begin your application. Step 1 will ask you about your eligibility for the Graduate Medical Education program. Underneath My Residency Program Is, there is a series of 5 checkboxes. You must check at least the first 4 boxes to be considered eligible to apply. However, if you don't meet all the criteria, you may still submit a request for special approval to submit an application. Down below, there's more text fields to enter your name, title, program, email address, phone number, and a concise explanation if you believe you may still be eligible. For this example, I'm going to check all the boxes. Throughout the application, you may see small circles with the letter I inside of them. Hovering over any of these icons will provide you with a brief explanation of the item it follows. Once you're finished, hit Save and Continue. Step 2 will ask you how you heard about the program. Check all that apply. For this example, I'm going to check PHC website. Just below the Save and Continue button is a blue Request Help button. If you need assistance with your application at any time, click this button, provide the name of your residency program, your email address, and any other form of contact information. Then, specify the step you would like help with, write out your question, and select Send Question. Once you're finished with this step, hit Save and Continue. Step 3 will ask you for information about the residency program you are applying for. The first question asks you to select the type of residency program you're applying for from a drop-down menu. Only one selection can be made. Underneath My Program Is, select whether the program is allopathic or osteopathic. Under Title of Residency Program, type the name of the program. For Address of Residency Program, type in the full address of the residency program, including street number, name, city, state, zip code, and county. Under Name of Sponsoring Institution, type the name of the institution which sponsors your residency program. Below, you'll be asked to specify whether your residency program is approved by the Accreditation Council for Graduate Medical Education or the American Osteopathic Association Council on Postdoctoral Training. You must select Yes to be considered eligible to apply. However, if your residency program is not approved by either of these organizations, you may still submit a request for special approval to submit an application. Down below, there's more text fields to enter your name, title, program, email address, phone number, and a concise explanation if you believe you may still be eligible. For this example, I'm going to select Yes. Under Accreditation Letters, you will need to upload a copy of the most recent accreditation letters from the appropriate accrediting or approval body for the sponsoring institution and residency program, preferably in PDF format. For each, select the green Choose File button, search your device for the accreditation letter, select it, and hit Open. Then, select the blue Upload Files button. Once you're finished, hit Save and Continue. Step 4 will ask you for information about the program director and the primary contact of the residency program. For program director's name, select a salutation and enter a first name, middle initial, and last name. The middle initial field is optional. For program director's address, enter the full address, including street number, name, city, zip code, and county, as well as an email address and a phone number. Check the box toward the top if the address is the same one from the residency program. For name of primary contact, enter a first name, middle initial, and last name, as well as the primary contact's title. Note that the name, email address, and phone number of the primary contact must be different from the program director. For primary contact's address, enter the full address, including street name, number, city, zip code, county, as well as an email address and phone number. Check the box toward the top if the address is the same one from the residency program. Once you're finished, hit Save and Continue. Step 5 will ask you for information about your primary training site. For the first question, indicate whether or not your primary training site is in a primary healthcare professional shortage area. If you select Yes, you'll be asked to provide your HPSA score based on geographic area or automatic facility HPSA score. To locate your score, click on the provided link. Below, the left-hand column will ask you to indicate the location of your primary AC GME approved continuity training site or the primary site through which primary care residents or emergency medicine residents rotate. Enter the name of the site, the practice setting, and a full address. The right-hand column will ask you to provide the payer mix for the facility listed as your primary AC GME approved continuity clinic training site or the primary site through which primary care residents or emergency medicine residents rotate. Enter the corresponding percentages below. Note that these numbers must total to 100%. Below, you'll be asked if your primary care or emergency medicine residents rotate through a separate location not listed above. If you select Yes, you'll be asked to provide the same information you entered above for that separate location. Once you're finished, hit Save and Continue. Step 6 will ask you to check the boxes which best describe your program. The answers you provide on this step will determine what you will enter for later steps. If you select Has received ACGME and/or AOA accreditation and has graduated one or more cohorts of resident, additional checkboxes will appear below. Check the boxes that best describe your program. If you select the second checkbox, you'll be asked to provide documentation from the appropriate accrediting body, preferably in PDF format. To do so, select the green Choose File button, search your device for the accreditation letter, select it, and hit Open. Once you're finished, hit Save and Continue. Step 7 will ask you for the number of residency positions you are requesting for funding and the duration of the residency program. Your residency program type was determined by the information you entered in Step 6. If you'd like to change your option, you can select the orange Back button to return to Step 6. For residency positions requested for funding, enter the appropriate number. A maximum of 5 positions may be requested. If you select Existing and Expanding, the total number of positions requested between the two fields must be no greater than 5. For duration of residency program, enter either 3 or 4 years only. Once you're finished, hit Save and Continue. Step 8 will ask you to provide the total projected cost of your residency program for the 2019-2020 academic year. For each expenditure type, enter in the corresponding program cost. These costs must add up to the total you requested in the previous step, which in this example is $180,000. Below, under Other Costs, you can document any additional costs by selecting the blue Add button and entering in expenditure types and corresponding costs. Make sure to click the blue Save button after each new entry. Next, under Use of Funds Requested, you'll be asked to provide an amount of funds requested for each expenditure type and a justification for each amount. At the bottom, you'll find a similar section for your other costs. Enter the appropriate expenditure types and the corresponding funds requested and justifications, remembering to click Save after each new entry. Once you're finished, hit Save and Continue. Step 9 will ask you to enter the number of positions available and filled for 2016-17 to 2019-20. If you are a new program, enter 0 in the appropriate fields. If you have a different number of approved residency positions than filled positions, you may enter an explanation of no more than 300 words. Once you're finished, hit Save and Continue. Step 10 will ask you to enter information on your graduates. If you are an existing or expanding program, fill out at least one of the tables below. The box toward the top of the page will inform you if you need to make a change in the number of graduates you list. For each graduate, enter in the graduate's last name, first name, and National Provider Index number. Indicate whether or not the graduate practices in primary care or in emergency care more than 50% of the time, and enter the full physical address of the graduate's physical location, including street number and name, city, state, and zip code. If there is a discrepancy in the number of filled positions as listed in the previous step and the number of graduates listed, provide an explanation of no more than 300 words. Once you're finished, hit Save and Continue. Step 11 will ask you to provide information about the residency program that the payments will be addressed to, if rewarded. Note that the information provided in this step will be used for contact purposes and cannot be changed. Please check with your financial department prior to completing this step. Enter the name of the organization or residency program and provide the full address, including street number, name, city, state, and zip code. Once you're finished, hit Save and Continue. Step 12 will ask you whether or not your residency or training program currently has a diversity strategy. This question is optional. If you select the first checkbox, Yes, another series of checkboxes will appear. Select the checkboxes that currently apply to your residency training program. If you have a strategy that isn't listed below, or you would like to give a more detailed explanation, write in the text box titled Explain Here below. Once you're finished, hit Save and Continue. Step 13 will require you to check both boxes to be considered eligible to apply. We encourage you to read each statement before you check the boxes, as these are legally binding statements. Enter your name, title, and residency program underneath person submitting this application. Once you're finished, hit Save and Finish. Now you can review your application to ensure that it's complete and accurate. If you'd like to continue editing your application, click the red Cancel button at the bottom of the page. Once you're satisfied with your application, select the green Submit Online Application button at the bottom of the page. Now your application has been submitted. Again, you'll be able to review your application, but you'll no longer be able to make any changes to it. Up at the top, there's a button that allows you to download a PDF copy of your application. Additionally, you can log out of your account and log back in at any time to review your submitted application. A few helpful tips to keep in mind before you begin your own application are to allow yourself about an hour to complete the application and enough time to gather the required documents and information, like the accreditation letters. Again, if you need to leave without completing the application, you can log out at the top and log back in at a later time to continue filling out your application any time before the submission due date. We hope this tutorial will help you submit your application to the CalMedForce Graduate Medical Education program.